Good evening, my name is Paul.Faulkner and this is a video that I never expected that I would have to make. I suffered a stroke 13 days ago and since then I've been in the Royal Hallamshire Hospital in Sheffield, where the staff have done a great job of trying to find not necessarily the cause of the stroke, but plan the best treatment. And the stroke consisted of 2 blood clots, and after initial CT scans we couldn't find out where those clots were, and we then had an MRI scan and found that they were located in the hypothalamus, which is the control centre of the brain, and that part of the brain then tends to operate the rest of the brain. So where am I at the moment? Well, you can clearly see my speech is a little bit affected, and I do have pins and needles down the left hand side of my face, going from my eyebrow to my chin. My speech is a little bit clumsier than normal. The people who know me will recognise that. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to speak fluidly throughout this episode, although not with the same strength that I usually communicate. I do get a little bit out of breath after speaking for a couple of minutes. Now, the stroke happened at work. I have experienced a number of incredible stressy events over the last few months, including being illegally made redundant by a former employer who admitted liability and then ended up with a payout, hush money if you will. So I and 2 other colleagues were illegally made redundant, but won our case. So that was a major stressing factor. Another factor that led to stress was the fact I bought a new touring caravan, which some idiot promptly ran into at a storage facility and wrote it off. So a little bit of stress there, as well as a car breakdown and a few other things, plus driving lots of miles for work. But there we go. So mainly factors that I couldn't control. Now, I'm overweight, I am a type 2 diabetic, and prior to the stroke, my blood pressure was probably at its best level that it's been at in a number of years. My diet was vastly improved. I was transferring over to a higher protein diet with lower fats, etc., and had started losing some weight. Now, my blood pressure pre-stroke, a few days before the stroke, was 142/90, and my 3-month cholesterol measure with the GP was vastly improved on the 3 months prior. So I had started turning things round, but there we go. A few days ago, whilst in the Hallamshire Hospital, the doctor took 11 test tubes of blood, and nothing significant showed there, other than my blood is more viscous than it should be, a little sticky. Now, the stroke was affecting me down my left hand side. It happened whilst at work. I went to see a client, got out of my car and found I was walking to the left and not able to walk in a straight line. I managed to walk back to the car and take a camera tripod out of the boot and fashion a type of walking stick with it. At that point I noticed a tingling sensation in my left arm, radiating down the outer part of the arm from the shoulder down to the fingertips. I telephoned a colleague and asked if my speech seemed to be any different, and she told me no, there seemed to be no noticeable difference. I checked my face in the mirror and I seemed to have full facial control with no visible signs of any drooping or dropping. And at that point I thought this may be cardiac related or neurological. Now, being only a very short distance from my GP and still having full control of my legs and arms, I drove the short distance to the GP surgery and presented myself there. Excuse me. And told the receptionist I believed I was having a stroke. Now, she flapped like a bird stuck in a trap. The GP saw me immediately. I was unsure whether it was a stroke or not, but fortunately she called an ambulance. Now, the ambulance took about an hour to arrive at the surgery because the stroke did not categorise me as a Category A call because I was located with a medic. The ambulance service duly arrived and conveyed me to the Royal Hallamshire Hospital, where I sat in a waiting room for in excess of 2 hours, whereupon I started to fall off a chair and was caught by a passing nurse. At that point I realised that on my left-hand side, my arm and my leg and my butt cheek were completely numb. So, I've spent the last 13 days in the Royal Hallamshire. I've started physiotherapy with the physios and the occupational therapist. Fortunately, I've regained some use of my left leg and I can lift it to a height of about 6 to 8 inches off the bed for about 20 seconds. I have a little bit of rotation in the leg and hip, being able to rotate my leg by about 15 to 20 degrees. Throughout the episode, I've been able to feel every part of my body, my leg and my arm. Specifically, I've had a tingling pins and needles sensation, but I've been able to feel a touch to every part of the body. And I've not lost the sensation of feeling in my left arm or my left leg. But unfortunately, the signals are going from the arm and the leg to the brain, but the brain is not really yet able to send signals back, making it almost impossible to control them. So that was the leg. The left arm, just 1 second. It's a little bit difficult holding the phone. The left arm, I can try and extend it in a forward fashion, but it's uncontrollable. Meaning that if I aim it, laid on the bed, if I aim it to point down to my toes, it moves across to the right hand side. Now I am sending signals down there, but the wrong muscles are picking the signals up. So it's now going to be an intense relearning session, learning how much signal to send down there from the brain and how much signal to stimulate particular muscle groups. And while that's happening, I'm waiting for the brain to start rerouting around the 2 damaged patches of the brain, a process called neuroplasticity, where the brain tries to form new highways, much the same as if you were driving down a motorway, the junction was blocked, you would have to detour, go around the minor roads and then rejoin further down. Well, I believe that that's the process my brain's going through now. This is the first video I've recorded 13 days in, or 13 days post-stroke, because my head's been all over the place for the last 13 days. I've been coming to terms with the situation. I'm recording these videos so when I have bad days, I can look back upon them and see just how far I've come. but also to reassure other people who might suffer a similar condition that however shit you feel right at the beginning, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So, this evening I've been relocated to a place in Sheffield called Spark. It's a stroke rehabilitation centre, and I've heard nothing but fantastic reports about the place. So along with their help and a lot of pig-headed determination from myself, I'm hoping to regain use of the arm and the leg. I was quite distressed with the fact that being left-handed, I was unable to write my name. And I know this sounds crazy, but it felt like a loss of identity, as if I almost ceased to exist, because I couldn't, and still cannot, pick up a pen to sign my name. It's funny how your mind plays tricks on you, isn't it? So that's where I am. I'll update again in a day or two, and then I'll review these videos at some time in the future, especially when I feel shit, just so I can see the progress that I've made. Assuming I've made progress, which I'm sure I will. Right, time for a cracking cup of tea now. One of the ladies brought me a cup of tea a few minutes ago, so I'm going to enjoy that in my new temporary home. This is the room. There's a little bathroom over there. It's a ground floor room, and views of the garden. And this centre has, I'm led to believe, some communal areas and a lovely area outside to sit in when the weather is nice. So I'm really looking forward to this challenge. It's not a party I would have wished to join, but now I'm here, let's make the most of it. So from me right now to my future self, look back on this and think where you've come from. And to me right now, start planning the future. It's only going to get better. Bye-bye.